Now on Emirates News, in association with Delivering Happiness, Jenn Lim is a global workplace expert and best-selling author currently visiting the Middle East. She explains the growth and advancement of the science of happiness and sustainable approaches to business. Let's speak to Jenn now on the line from Cairo. Jenn, if I was to ask you, who is Jenn Lim in the eyes of the world, what would you say?
Well, I wish we could just ask the world directly for that one. It's all about perception. But I guess according to bio and my on paper, I've been in the happiness business per se for a couple of decades now. First, a company back in the States called Zappos, and then eventually one called Delivering Happiness. That was started 13 years ago, and that was really been the driver of my work around how we can actually make sure companies are fundamentally creating environments where, number one, their employees are happier first, then their customers are happier, and then actually have more profitable, sustainable business. But most importantly, you're also creating more meaningful lives. So that's been the bulk of what I do. But yeah, I think right now it's a very different time since a few years ago, since the pandemic, and it's really, really up to us as business leaders to understand what that truly means for a sustainable business that grows.
What is your definition of meaningful happiness and its significance for organizations?
Our basis is, my belief system really goes back to the research and science behind happiness and positive psychology, which has been really something that's emerging more importantly, again, since the pandemic. And if you look at that, it really comes to one basic thing, which is the most sustainable form of happiness, and that's having a higher purpose. And that's basically being part of something that's greater than yourself. And there's other ways to get to happiness. We all know that. But knowing that when you have that higher purpose, and knowing when you have a sense of values and behaviors and a belief system that you can live by, that in itself is what is most meaningful. But I think what the most important caveat today is that it's very subjective, happiness can be. So it's really up to us as individuals, as human beings, to actually understand what it means for ourselves. So as an example, like one person's meditation is different from another person's massage. One person's like walking on nature, walk in the park is different from a ultra marathoner getting a high off that sort of run. So I think the onus is really on us as individuals and as leaders to actually do the work and understand ourselves, to be able to truly define what that means beyond what we typically say of, oh, I'm here for my kids, I'm here for my family. What is it here that we are actually being a part of and contributing to beyond ourselves? And now more than ever, with the state of society as we are, contributing to ourselves, to and for those that we serve and love as people.
Jenn, tell us more, if you would, about your best-selling book, Beyond Happiness.
For me, when I started working on the book, I just wanted to share all these stories of Starbucks, of McDonald's, of hospital systems, and the government in Dubai. And then 2020 happened, as we all know. The world got 2020'd, and every month a new headline came up as to why the world is changing and how the world is changing. And I think since I started working on the book at that time, I really shifted gears to go deeper. And that's why the book was eventually titled Beyond Happiness. So in a way, it's to reframe. It's not about chasing those highs all the time. It's actually really understanding the gamut of our highs and our lows, so that if we do understand that for ourselves, then we can be more grounded. Ability to adapt would be that much higher. Our resilience is that much higher. And then as companies and leaders in the companies, then we are able to actually transfer that ability to our teams and our people and be able to therefore adapt and grow, especially in this ever volatile world. So that's where Beyond Happiness went. It's a lot about organizational change, but it really comes back down to us ourselves as individual leaders.
Jenn, how would you describe your experience with Mountain View, the Middle East's first real estate company to adopt the science of happiness?
Yeah, Mountain View has always been a favorite poster child of mine. It's been I kind of see it as a book that keeps on writing different chapters. At the very beginning, and I think we started working back in 2016, They were a client, and they basically adopted these beliefs around fundamental, meaningful happiness in the workplace. And they adopted to the extent of actually rebuilding their headquarters to live out their values, to remind people on a day-to-day basis how important it is to have that higher purpose beyond making money. And then they realized the impact on them and what positivity brought to them, including profits. And then they actually created and launched DH Egypt. So they believed other businesses in this region could benefit from that same approach. And then going past that, well, then that's when COVID hit. And of course, like all businesses in the world, we are all forced to adapt. And they, again, kind of walk their talk and put their sense of meaning to their people, to their customers. And here we are, fast forward to the last and latest chapter where they're launching something new called the Lighthouse, which is actually physical centers where people in their residential developments can go and actually engage and connect and learn more about what it really means to be authentically and meaningfully happy. So it's just been sort of this ever evolving story that the realization is it's not just the profits, it's actually being able to ripple their impact out to their people, to their teams, and therefore their community. It's been a pretty beautiful thing to see.
Jenn Lim, we will leave it there. Great speaking to you. Many thanks.